Hello, hello. I'm here. Hello, boys. How are you today? I'm pretty good, and I'm looking forward to have this night and day cycle in the game properly managed. As I told you last time, I wanted to have the weather manager incorporated into the game, and we did some reasoning the last time about how to split the game into different areas or sectors and how to ensure that these sectors were recognized client side, server side. At the end, we didn't find a solution yet, but for now, let me say I don't care too much about that. I will just implement it as a single sector for now, and then as we find a solution for splitting the game into multiple areas, then we will include that on top. So for now, what I was doing, I did already some work, but not too much. I was say creating the messages and structures and enumeration that are needed to actually pass the information between server and client about the weather, because the time of the day is managed by a class called weather manager, which also has the day and night cycle into it. And yes, and so I'm converting this class at the moment. I'm converting it, and I already converted a few bits of it, and I'm going through the process of finishing this. So yeah, that is what I'm doing at the moment. This is what I'm doing at the moment. So this is the class I already converted, as you see, in U properties, most of the elements, and I'm now, after this change, I'm now using this class into my weather manager. Right? Unfortunately, weather manager, as it was before, is very different. So we have few ways to fix this. One way is just to comment the majority of the weather and just use the day and night cycle, and probably that's the best way for now. Or try to convert it all, but trying to convert it all, I think it will take quite some time. Quite some time. This class is working with events, meaning that it's very similar to what we did for the event manager. It seems to have its own queue and its own way of accessing the queue. I didn't get exactly why, but so it is some investigation that we can do together. Because this class, as you see, is using scope lock, which was in the old code just a way to have thread safe access to a queue, and is basically copying the queue of events also inside the weather manager. So there is something that we have to figure out, understand why it was doing this, and see if you really want to port it or not. The first thing that the server does when it starts is actually, let me show you the database. It's actually reading the game time from the table that is responsible for the game time, which is server options. So it's reading this table. Let me just connect if I can. Okay, so it's reading a table that is called server options, and inside of that, one of the many parameters that we have is game time and game dates, right? These two parameters, in particular game time. Why? Because when you stop the server, you want to save the game time, and if you start it again, then it will restart exactly from the same hour, right, and the same time. So that's the point. So there are a few functions that do this. One is get server option, and the other is search server option. which I already converted. I placed them into Cache Manager because I thought it was a better idea to have it there. Originally they were on PS Server, but we don't have PS Server anymore. So I think we can just do, you know, Cache Manager, get server option, and in theory it should work. And the same for this one. Right? So we are reading. You see there is this function called start game time, which is basically loading the time from the yes, loading the time from that table. Now I don't know exactly what is this. Okay, it's basically doing the split. Okay, in the two. Okay, it's fine. Just because there's okay, I think it's okay. So we can just teach her to answer this. I think, and it should be fine. And we do the same here. It should be fine. Now the point is that we need to figure out this queue. The way it uses the queue is a bit special in this class, and I still have to understand exactly why it's using this queue. But you see that it's queuing a next event, and this event queue is actually a function still in Weather Manager, which is taking a PS Weather game event and yes, it's creating a new class of this, which I think is fine. I think it's fine, and then it's pushing the event. So the thing that we have to change, I think, is this one, because it's pushing this event to us, but to the same class, so to Weather Manager, but at the same time it's also pushing it to Event Manager, and so we are keeping these two different queues, which is a bit special for this class. And I have to understand why. Then when this event is getting pushed to the Event Manager, will get triggered, and now what we want to know and what we want to see is what happens when this event gets triggered, right? So this is what we want to know. Maybe we can look at that in the old code because it's probably easier. PS Weather game event, why can I find it? Okay, so this is our game event. I just want to see when it triggers. When it triggers, it's just calling the Weather Manager and doing handle weather event. Okay, so it's fine. And then handle weather event, sit on the Weather Manager is pushing this event. Okay, so we can do it in a few ways. One way could be that we keep the same structure, so we create this as an event that can be managed by Event Manager. If you remember, we did the last time. I mean, it was a few, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, but we did something here in Event Manager, which is able, so game event, exactly, game event, and U Event Manager and game event. So all of that, all this code is basically, let me just check, what was this Event Manager? I don't remember. There it is, Event Manager, right? So this Event Manager now is very simple because we are using the timers of Unreal, and it basically has one method, which is the relevant one, which is this Event Manager push, which is pushing our new event to be published in the given amount of time, which is delay ticks. So yeah, so this is what we want to do. We want to reuse this method and push it and push this to our process queue and ensure that it's getting executed at the right time. So in other words, I think first thing we have to do, we need to convert our event, our weather event, to a real event that we can use for the event manager. Right? At the moment, it's not. At the moment, we have just this PS weather game event, but if I go to the definition, yes, it's well, actually, it's already derived from UPS game events, which I think is fine. But if we look at the others that we did, just to avoid reinventing the wheel, if we go to the others, I think we created, for example, item removal. So yes, we did the item event, respawn game event, like this one. Item spawn event. This one is one of the one that we actually used. And basically the way we did it, we had to declare it as a U class. Otherwise, if it's not a U class, you cannot use it as a variable of a timer, right? And so what you need to do is to declare it this way. So we have to do the same for our weather event, add the generated body, and then you just have to ensure you have at least one empty constructor, constructor with no parameters, and then the rest should be the same. Okay, so let's try to see if, and also you have to call it like U something, because it is what it required by Unreal if it's a U class. So if it's derived from U object, let's say. So in our weather manager, when we are declaring this, now I will do the same. I will declare it as a U class first of all. Then I will call it U something. And this means that everywhere in the code where we have PS game event, maybe we can just do a mass substitution and that's it. Yes, in all open documents, that's fine. We can substitute it all. So wherever there is PS weather game event, we put UPS game event. Okay, it's fine. Did he do it? I'm still thinking. Okay, we found 15 of these occurrences. Perfect. So you see here, this is done. This is a class. Yes. We need our generated body, right? And we also need then to have at least one empty constructor, which we have. No, wait. Which we don't have yet. So we have to add one empty constructor. And for now, the empty constructor will do nothing. I don't think we need to do anything. Like is here, you see. I mean, I added a printout just to test it the last time, but then we need the trigger, but I think that this one, yes, is already here. The get type is fine. The get type actually I removed for some reason. And then the toString, because toString is used in few cases. I added here a toString. I don't know if this is required actually, we will see, but probably yes. Let me just put it in as a commented out, and then we will see if it's really needed. But I think in some parts of the code we are using the toString, and then he has one parameter which is the weather manager, which is okay, just a pointer to the weather manager, because then he has to call, he has to call this guy. Okay, now in terms of variables, I think in this case I didn't have any U properties, huh? Okay, I didn't have any U properties. I think it's fine. There are all these. There is all this information, which is what is probably triggering then the our weather. I mean, these are all the values of our weather, like the fog. Now they are not very clear to me. I mean, they're not very well documented in this part. Maybe are a bit better here, but I don't see. Okay, anyway, let's leave it as it is for now, and let's say that this is done. So if this is done, it doesn't like our generated body. I don't know why, but for now let's leave it as it is. We still have a lot of errors on the CPP file, so that's probably why it's complaining. So what we want to do here is to, yes, let IntelliSense parse this file and see I don't remember our calendar. Do we have a calendar of 32 days each? I think we do. Each month is 4 weeks with each day in each. Okay. Yeah, so it's 32 per month. And every year is made of 10 months. Yeah, 32 days, 320 days. Okay, fine. These are different month names and seasons. Okay, fine. Yes. Okay. Yeah, just wanted to. So this is why we have this variable here, which is the 32, 32, 32, because basically it's 32 days per each month per 10 months. Right? Yes. At the moment, I think we are keeping track only of the day and night cycle. I don't know if we are really keeping track of the month in which we are. But potentially we can do this in the future, and also the year. I think the year is always the same year, but they should in theory progress, right? So the people that played in a certain calendar year will be remembered for something, and others for others and such. So I don't know. I think it's something that we can develop. At the moment, it's just a day-night cycle, which is continuously executed. Okay, so our weather message. Now, our weather message is not called like this anymore because I had to change it again to be compliant with the Unreal Engine nomenclature. So, our weather message now is called, is under messages. Is under messages. And it's called FPS weather message. So I think we can do again a mass update, and whenever we have PS weather message, we can substitute everywhere FPS weather message. Okay, we can. Okay, wow, 64, that's a lot. Okay, I think the majority are here in the, probably all are here in weather manager class. Okay. Yeah, this code was working based on sectors. At the moment, we really don't have the concept of sectors. We discussed it the other day, you know, and what we want to have instead of sectors, we want to have world composition with each map being or corresponding to what a sector was in the old code. Right? So that's the idea. So basically, if I read the code right, when the game is starting, is loading the time, is loading the date, and then is queuing the first event. Is queuing the first event. This first event is, let me just see if there is a delay text. 0, yes. The first event is scheduled to be executed immediately. So it is the game, this is the delay time, so it's 0, so it's scheduled immediately. And he has a day and night. The only problem is that I don't see, it's not passing this information, but probably, let me see. If we go here, let me just go to the definition. Right? Delay ticks is the variable that we want. Is printing out few things. Okay, then is creating a new event. And okay, so here is where is the trick, right? It is where we have to do it differently from what it was before, because we want to send out event type. Event type is if is day-night cycle. So I think we need this enumeration. I think we need the enumeration. I didn't port that enumeration because I was thinking, is it really needed? Now we show you where, but probably it is. I was hoping we could skip it. This one, this enumeration is basically saying if it's day, night, or weather, and probably changes the parameters. But at the moment we have an enumeration which is rain, snow, fog, lightning. I don't know, maybe we could just add a new value here and call it day night. So it knows it's a time change, right? It knows it's a time change, but I think they could go in parallel. So you could have a change of time and a change of weather at the same time. So that's probably why he's having two separate weather messages. So just for compatibility, I would say we could keep it this way. No idea why it's called player mode. I think it's a typo. I mean, it's something that remained like this from the past, and I think it's a copy paste, of some time ago. So we can put it back, okay, assuming that is needed, because it seems that is needed in the code. And we can put back this instead of player mode. I think we can call it eWeather type. Well, eWeather type is already this. eWeather message type or eWeather event type. Yes, event type, I think it makes sense. Which means that whenever I generate an event, this will be okay. Then we need this uMeta, which is basically how this is called internally. Okay, so if we do it this way, should be fine. We should now have our enumeration class. Exactly. So so that part of the code that we saw just a second ago, which was calling this, which was here at the beginning, instead of doing day night, yes, it will do something like eWeather event type day and night. Okay, so this part should be fine. Then what I don't like too much is that we are keeping our own process queue, and I think we should remove this if possible. I still don't get why we have our own process queue, but we have it here inside this class. Okay, so let's do the notify. Let's change all the notify because we don't need this anymore. We have also new log type. Maybe the log type we can have a weather log type because I think the weather will be. Yeah, let's keep. Let's make a new. Let's make a new log type. Okay. Log types are pretty easy to define. They are defined here, and you just have to declare something like log weather, for example, and then you also have to add it to available log filters, and then you also have to add it to PSREL CPP, right? You have to add it both sides, so otherwise it doesn't work. And this will be log weather. So now you have basically declared the new log type, and this log type is now something that we can use whenever we are calling ulog. So if I go back to my weather manager now, I will have, so instead of notify, I think we decided to have it as, let me check if I have a notify, yes, we have just a warning. Why warning? Notify goes to warning in our conversion table. In this case, I don't think it should be a warning. It should just be a log. I mean, should just be a log. I don't think we need this to be anything else than a log. So we use log weather now, and we just print out this note, which is telling us what is the next scheduled event and what we are queuing, right? Now, for the actual queue itself, which is this one, I think we should do it exactly as we did. And I like to copy paste my own code. So it was in Spawn Manager actually, right? In Spawn Manager, we had PS item schedule event. So this guy, if I go back to Spawn Manager, which is here, and I search for, there it is, new schedule item, event manager, edited. That is basically the code that we were using, right? The last for to queue a new event in our event manager. So we should do the same. And let me just check if there is any relevant difference. Because if I do new object, I cannot really initialize the parameters because new object is just willing to have an empty constructor. So I think that then I need to do something like set, and then we set all of this, right? And then we set all of this. Because when I push, let me just double check this. When I push the event, I go here, I check event delay ticks, which is perfectly fine. And then when I process the queue, I just call trigger. Okay, fine. Okay, this is fine. This is fine for us. But I need to wait a way to set all these parameters, right? Which today I don't have a way. I need to create inside my UPS whatever weather game event. I need to create a new method, which is actually setting all those parameters, right? And so let's do this. If I go here, at the moment we have another constructor. This constructor, I think we will never use it. So we can probably convert this constructor to something that is like set parameters. Set parameters. can have something like that. And the set parameters will be returning, I think, void. We don't need any. And he has all of that. Okay, so now we can even implement it here. I mean, it's just yeah. So we will just do delayed ticks. Delayed ticks. Do we need delayed ticks? Weather manager. Do we need weather manager? Do we need weather manager? Actually, weather manager, we have it as a global variable. So I think that weather manager is not needed anymore. That is my idea. Delay ticks is something that is set on the father item. So I think if I do, let me check if I do just new event, and then I do IntelliSense is taking some time, but I think there should be a delay ticks here. A new event that I can just set as delay ticks, and so I avoid putting it in that set parameters. Or I can keep it. Maybe it's better if I keep it in one function only. So I do something like set parameters, and then I pass in all these parameters. Yes, including delay ticks. Why not? I think I can. I think we can do this. And then we push the event to event manager, and we don't need this code anymore. We don't need any of that. Hello, I see someone joined the channel. Welcome. If you want to say hi in the chat, that would be nice. To be able to chat, you need to have to register a Google account. And after you have a Google account, you can then chat. Just log in with your Google account. Okay, so we set the parameters here, and then we push the new event to event manager. Okay, so this is going to be triggered in delay ticks. So now what we want to do, we want to set parameters. I think we can have then delay ticks equal to delay ticks and such and so on for all the other parameters. I think we have RGB is this one, event type, event value, duration, fade, sector, SI, and client. Client we actually don't need anymore, because there is the idea here is that you are pushing the weather to all the clients at the same time that are inside a particular area, and the day and night cycle is actually set for everyone in the game, because at the moment we are assuming that we have the same time of the day everywhere in the game, right? So that is a bit of the point. Now so the client num in theory we can remove. Because we will do a for loop for each of the player controlled entities on the server, and we will publish, right? And we will publish this message. Yes, I think this is what I'm gonna do. Okay, so this one is probably not needed, so let's remove it for now. The SI, which is the sector, for us is also kind of optional, because at the moment we don't manage that. But all the others, like type, so this will be equal to event type, and value would be equal to event value, and duration would be equal to duration, and fade equal to fade. And again, sector, I don't know really if we need it. In the future we will need it because we need to change, we need to have a weather based on, yeah, so we will need it in the future. So let's keep it in, and we say, and then there is CR equal to R, and why doesn't like the event type? Oh, because I missed one T. And CG equal to G, and CB equal to B. Okay. So we have set all the parameters on our event based on this function, right? I think it's fine. So in our weather manager, when we are pushing new event, what we do, we create a new weather event. We set the parameters. And let me just remove the client num, yes, because this one we don't need, we said. And then we push the event to the event manager. Now the only thing that I don't know is if delay ticks is 0, if it still triggers, because I've seen that a timer, you know, needs at least one as an information, as a time, as a delay. Otherwise, it doesn't trigger for some reason. So I think when we call this here at the beginning, instead of 0, we should have 1 as a delay in seconds. I mean, it will trigger 1 second later, so the hour will be like moved of 1 second, but I don't think that is something that anyone will complain about. Right? Yes, event type now is of type weather event type. Yes. So that is how we should declare it. So I'm a bit confused. What is this? Is Q next event, Q next event, Q next event. There it is. So this we are going to change to our new enumeration that we just created. Okay. Fine. Okay. So other things that we need to do, well, we need to, we could comment everything else, you know, and just test this single piece, because at the end what we want is that when the server starts, it reads these parameters from the database and it sets the time of the day to be the one that it just read from the database. So we could do that, or we can just go through a bit more of fixing into this class. So it's all work that we will I mean, it's all work that we need done anyway, so. But as you see, there are still a million errors. The million errors are because we are still using this queue concept. So let me check. PS weather message rain. So this is not this anymore. So whenever there is this, I need to change it with, what? I need to change it with what I have in messages, which is eWeather, right? eWeather. So this becomes eWeather rain. So we have a bit of substitutions to do because we changed some of the enumeration names, unfortunately, and so yeah, we need to do this. Current documents. There are 10 of this type. I think that is the same for snow. I think it's exactly the same. Then I think there is the same for fog. fog. Then there should be the same for what else? There is anything else? Snow. No, I think it's okay. I remember there were 4 values, but maybe lightning. You can add this lightning. Okay. So we substitute all of that, which is nice. It's reducing drastically the number of errors, but we still have a lot of errors here. A lot of errors. The main errors are related to the sectors. Like this one is checking if in a specific sector we have the weather enabled. And at the moment I think that it is not. It is something that we could ask to the weather manager, no? I don't know why we need to ask to the sector itself if the weather is enabled or not. Hello, Soup. Welcome. I'm working on the weather manager, but I need a short bathroom break. So I will be back in 1 second. Will be very, very quick. Bathroom break, 1 minute. So just wait 1 minute. I will be back. Okay, I'm back. So what I was saying is that yeah, when we are saving, so saving the time is fine. So here is start weather. It is all the weather system, right? So we didn't check it yet, but start weather is going to a specific sector and is checking if rain and snow are enabled for the sector. Get weather enable, queue the event to start rain. Queue next event, get random weather gap. So all these functions were actually on the sector. You see the sector info is having all these functions like getting random weather gap, random weather density, if weather is enabled or not. I don't know if I really like this, that all the information of the weather is staying on the sector itself. Also because at the moment we don't have, so I'm just reasoning how to translate this to Unreal, right? Because we have our world composition that is made of a number of sub-levels, and if we find a way to identify the sub-levels, what we would like to do, we would like that for each sub-level there is a different weather. So we cannot really keep that information Okay. Are we loading the sectors, by the way, in Cache Manager at the beginning of the game, or I just commented it out completely? Let me just check if we are loading sectors somehow, because I don't remember. I think I probably removed it. Preload spell sectors, preload sectors. Yeah, everything is commented out. Yeah, you see my comment here. We are not using sectors in a real engine, but whether travel to that real etc. should go somewhere anyway. Yeah, so I just commented it out, but actually I think we can use a similar structure, just divided by, instead of sector, divided by sub-level in our world composition. So that's the idea, right? Because at the moment our sector table looks like this. We have the different names, which were the areas in the old game, and then we have, like, yes, rain enabled, snow enabled, fog enabled. I mean, this is still completely valid, right? Because we may have some areas which are, for example, underground, or they are, I don't know, inside a building, no, completely inside a building, where it cannot snow, it cannot rain, because it's an inside a building. So I think it's still pretty valid. I mean, this structure is still pretty relevant. The difference is that I would like to see here, instead of these names, I would like to see the sub-levels of our world composition, right? Or the coordinates in terms of a square, right? Like top left corner and top right corner. So four integer values, which are describing the areas in which this particular weather is happening, right? So again, if we have our world, and assume that we have our world, I don't know, whatever it is, blah 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 blah, blah. This is our, I don't know, forest, mountains, blah 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 blah. Okay, this is our world. What we want to do, we want to split it in sectors or in areas, right? So like one area will be this, another area will be this, and so on, right? Another area will be this, and blah blah blah, right? And then keep a reference in the database of each of these areas, and give them some properties. Properties being that exactly one area maybe is more foggy, another is more rainy, another is more snowy, and such, right? And so what I think we should have in this database table are these red boxes. Okay? So that for each red box we say how much is raining, how much is snowing, and such. Right? So that is one way. It is one way. I mean, it is the way we were using before. So that is the way we were using before, with the difference that before we had this concept of sectors. So for example, now, you know, we can have one line, we can have one sector, we know, which is the whole game. You know, we can have, just for now, just to simplify, we can have one box. Oh, I changed the color. Fuck it. Okay. Anyway, we can have one box, which is the whole game, everything, and for now, just say that we load the information of all our game, and then when we split it later on, at least we have the structure already prepared, you know, for us to be read and to be used when we split in multiple sub levels. Yeah. So it is a bit of the idea. And for weather system, we need that. For time of the day and night cycle, we don't. So we just apply it to everyone. in any sector, in any place, in any location. At the moment, we assume that the time of the day is the same. So do we want to load this or not? Do we want to load this or not? I mean, I think we can. I mean, it's just the problem is that at the moment we don't have our sector information, our sector class. The sector class, I excluded it. It's under bulk objects, but I didn't, if I remember right, I didn't import it. You say it's missing. So there is another class. That class should be imported if you want to use it. Or I'm just thinking, I'm just reasoning, just thinking aloud, but there's so let me search in the old code how it was made. In the old code, sector event. Come on, there should be. Where is it? Didn't Q next event have the sector information we just saw? One second. Why I'm not finding sector was called, or IPS sector? What was the name? Come on. It was PS sector info. Okay, so PS sector info. PS sector info is actually a class that I think we miss. PS sector info, go to definition. Yeah, there is this one which is PS sector info.h. Contains information about the sector, the service perspective, include the ID, the name of the sector, and the weather parameters. So all of this is something that I did not import. And as you see, there is quite some stuff. So check if the reporting sector will trigger death penalty when used. The reporting sector will trigger the. There seems to be a copy paste of this thing, but anyway. Get the sector name when the reporting entering the name, sector coordinate in the sector, rotation. Then there is all the weather data. I'm just thinking, but my point of view, we need to have this information anyway somewhere. I mean, if we don't want to put it into the sector because it's the old class, fine, but we need to have this data somewhere, right? Because it's valid data. It's valid data. I don't think we will have global weather. I think we will have area by area weather, so that you move from one place to the other. You know, I mean, you don't want to have snow in the desert, right? Right. So you need to know that you are in the desert. So you need to have a split, like we just drawn here, right? In areas, and one area, as you know, is a desert, and so you say that it never rains, or it rains extremely rarely, and it never snows, right? So I think this kind of information we need anyway. We need to load anyway. So my suggestion is probably to port this class anyway, and then load the sectors, and then change this table to be Unreal Engine compatible, so that we keep the subsector. We still have the issue of the subsector stuff, because we can identify. As of today, we don't have an easy way to identify where the player is in the subsector. We tried the other day, we didn't find a solution. I need someone with Unreal knowledge to help me to identify in which sector the player is, right? But yes, I think we can proceed this way. We can import anyway this class, this sector info, read this information, which we will change maybe in the future. But we also have that sector and that coordinate, so we can decide if a player dies in a specific area where he should go, if he should respawn. Like if he's in the tutorial, we don't want him to go to the death realm, but we want him to just respawn in the tutorial again. This is just an example, but is how these two columns are used, right? Okay. I'm convincing myself more and more that we need the sectors. Just in a different way, but we need them. And we are forced to say that the sector, because we could force the player. I mean, at the beginning of the game, we can set the sector manually, and then we can force the player. I mean, we can, in theory, identify when the player is going through one sector or the other, when he's moving between sectors. We could do it with coordinates, or we could do it by trigger volumes. So we could have a trigger volume that is checking that the player is moving between one and the other. I mean, it's not great. I would prefer to do it automatically by the engine, so to have a way that the engine tells me if the player is inside this sector or is inside this sector. So I think that is what we were searching the other day, but we didn't find a solution for it. Unfortunately, we didn't find a solution. So let me try to ask again in the Unreal chat if someone has knowledge of this, because I posted it already one time and no one answered. But I mean, it's not that everyone has this knowledge. So let me check. Can I find my previous message? No. Okay. Basically, the message I want to post, and the question I want to post also to you, if you have any knowledge, is something like, "Hi, I'm using." We could also post it into the Answer Hub, into the Unreal or in the Unreal forums. Let me do a search for work composition, get location on sublevel, something like that. But I don't think that anyone has done this. So my question is, if I have my work composition, how do I know in which sub-level am I? In which sub-level my player controller is? Which is exactly this question. But I searched and searched and searched, and no one has an answer to this. You see, this guy has the same problem. You have he has desert, landscape, desert, blah blah blah. What the fuck? This guy is saying that it's working this way? I don't think it's working this way. We tried already. This guy accepted as an answer? This guy accepted it as an answer? Really? Really? Meaning that it works? We tried the other day something like this and it was not working at all. Get outermost. Let me check where we have this, but I think we did it already. I don't remember if at the end we saved the class or we just reverted everything we did. But I think we did it in save character data. All open documents, yes please. We did it in the save character data function where we were checking if we were getting the right name, and we were not. Linker load. I mean, because if we have a way to identify the sector, then we are fine. Then everything works. If we have a way to know when my player is changing his sector, and we can do a check every 10 seconds and change the weather accordingly, it should be perfectly fine. I think I deleted that. Really? I hope not, because ouch. We deleted it. I'm pretty sure it was inside save character data. I think it was inside of this. And inside of this, I think I had no. Wow. I have to go back and check my own video and see where I placed it, because let me check one thing. It's pretty strange. Was the video of the last video, right? The last video we were working on this, so was the word composition. Yes, exactly. So it was this one, and I was placing this variable. Okay, here is where we were searching for. Here is where we were searching for. Yeah, that thing, but then let me see. I don't know if I reverted everything. I think probably I reverted everything. It's a bit of a pity though. Planesheet player controller base. Here it is. Planesheet player controller base. Character loader save data. Yeah, it is. I think I reverted it because it's exactly where I was searching it now. Why I reverted it? Why I didn't just save it with DT? But it's basically this code. The code that you see here on screen is the one that. It's pretty weird that I reverted it. I'm really on the right one. Yeah, it's player controller base. Yeah, it's exactly here. So it's exactly it's exactly but it's not doing this code. I think we lost. I think we lost this code, boys. For some reason I didn't save it. I don't know why. Well, I can just copy it from here, and I can just copy it from the video. I mean, it's not. But basically, what we were trying to do I think I reverted it because I wanted to check in something, and so I didn't want that stuff to be there. And anyway, it was not working. Hello, I see a Russian guy joined. If you can keep it in English, thanks. Just keep it in English. Okay, you said hi. Okay, hi. Okay, so basically the point was that since this thing is called every 30 seconds, tends to get the player position in the world, right? In particular, we want to get the sub level, and what this guy is suggesting to do, is this, but I think it will not work. But anyway, let's try anyway. So he's getting get world, get current level, get outermost, get name, and then he's doing this. Okay, then let's try to print out this thing and see what happens. So current level equal to percentages of these two thingies. So one is map package blah blah blah, and the other is map blah blah blah. Right, and yes, and we can try to run it this way and see if we get this thing. Our problem at the moment is that our weather manager is in very bad shape. Most of it doesn't compile, so or we remove it, or we just comment out everything and see, because the majority of this is not working. Majority of this is not working. I could there is still a lot of old code, so I comment every function for now, and we just compile it as it is, and then we uncomment it as we go. Maybe it's the easiest, huh? Should we do this? Okay, let's do this. Yeah, I don't want to go back, so let's just comment out everything. So we'll do you fix me temporarily commented, and let's just comment it out so we can compile, so we can compile and we can just check the position. I guess that's the main point. Type is an int. No, type should be our e-weather something. What did we say? E-weather event type. So okay. I just want to compile this class somehow. I hope we can. I hope we can compile it. By the way, I removed this constructor, I think, right? Yes, I completely removed this constructor. So this constructor doesn't exist anymore, so I can just remove it fully. I think we have an error also here at the beginning where it's trying to initialize. Let's also Let's also comment out this. I think it will take a bit to do this transition, but when we have it, I think we will have our weather system fully set up, right? I think also the start weather we should comment it out at the moment. Let's just comment out everything. I don't want to waste time on something that is not working, so let's just comment out all these methods and let's just compile and see if we can get the proper level, right? The proper level name. All these are anyway these are anyway all methods that are returning void, so we don't care. We don't care about that. We can comment out everything here and just have it compile. Who cares? Who cares? We will come back and put it back in place, you know. I messed up. There is e-weather and not e-weather type. Okay. Okay. Let's see if it compiles this way, right? Yeah, I just commented everything out, but I think it's fine. I think it's fine. Meanwhile, it will take a bit to compile. Meanwhile, I think we can write down the question, you know, the question that we want to post. I would like to post it on Answer Hub, but also on the Unreal. So I'm using word composition, word composition in a dedicated server setup, right? Dedicated server setup. So my world is made of sublevels. Sublevels. The main level is called Liacon, and sublevels are named like, for example, we have whatever we have. I think we have something like Iliacon underscore. We can take it from the way. We can take it from the. I don't have Notepad++ open. Interesting. If we take it from here, you see, these are all our previous tests where it was basically only providing the top level instead of providing the sub level. So yeah, they are like this. They are named like this. So 0101, and then oops, and then 0102, etc. And so these are all the sub levels. So I need to know in which of the sub levels my player currently is. So this is the question. This is the question that I have, and this is the question that is not properly. What was this one? Day night. I see. Okay, let's comment it out for now. Let's comment it out for now. I don't care. We will change this anyway, so it's not a problem if it's not compiling at the moment. It's not parsing that at the moment. Hello, I see more people joined. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to the stream. Type event type. I think there is a bit of a mix because he's using an integer all the time, but he's setting what the hell? We didn't include PS Unreal, or what did we miss? We missed PS Unreal. Yes, we missed PS Unreal, and we missed also the generated file. Okay, should do this as a first, and this one as a last. Right? And this one will be called weather manager generated.h. Okay, so because this is needed for for Unreal to actually generate the classes and the methods. So I think we are missing it also in the CPP. Right. Yes, importing a new class is always requires a bit of setup, so it's taking some time. Hello, I see more people joined. Welcome. If you want to say hi in the chat, would be nice, so I know you're there. We are working on the day-night cycle and also weather, because the weather system is kind of connected to the day-night cycle. So I'm trying to have both working, but starting with the day and night, which is I would say the simplest of the two. You're just waiting this thing to compile. Yes, I think we have to change all of that to int, because originally they were uints, but Unreal Engine doesn't really like the difference between unsigned int 8, int 16, whatever. So let's just move all of this to int, and I think we'll be fine. Okay, just compiling and seeing where it goes. If we can compile, unfortunately compilation takes some time, but so as you have seen in the previous video, here this is our code, how it was our code, and our code was already trying to do get outermost, get full name, get outer, get name, whatever. I mean, all these things, and we were continuously getting, let's say, the top level object, right? Not the other ones. There is more uint. There is more uint. We have this problem of event type. I think we should just put them together in the same one, because I'm starting to be annoyed by this. Because sometimes it's using, weather event type, but here we have these two methods, we have these two thingies, and you see we have rain, snow, fog, and lightning, but at the same time we have also day, night, and weather, and this guy is using one or the other, is using one or the other kind of independently, which is a bit weird though, because how can how can this work? I mean, an event can be event type. Event type is day, night, or weather. And then, I mean, if he's weather, does he also has rain, snow, and fog? Probably as a binary operator into it, maybe. Because it seems to be weird to me that he's doing like that. We could put this, you know, here and just have it as a single class. So at least the code will compile, and then we will have to we will need to have binary operations, you know, to check if a value is weather and snow or weather and rain, right? But I think it's probably the easiest. It's probably the easiest way. Because the old code was just using integers, so it didn't care at all. It was not really a proper enumeration, right? So it didn't care at all. I think it will complain that I'm using let's say the old method, but just waiting the compilation to finish. You can see that the bottom is just running the compile. Okay. Again, we will get number of errors. Okay, there are still a few here because so now it seems to be compiling more because it's complaining. So our value is an f string, so we need to do this. Our option name is a const char, so potentially it can stay as it is. Wherever we have in the code get weather manager, now we can just substitute it with weather manager because we have created say current project. Yes. Okay. Because we have that, then whatever. Add GB and declare identifier. What does it mean? I declared as an input. Let's just recompile because I did a mass substitution, so I need to import, I guess, weather manager here, otherwise it will not work. Right? In fact, look at that. It was here and it was commented out, so still complaining a lot, like use of undefined weather manager. Okay, there it is. Weather manager is actually under what? Under server, right? So we should have server / weather manager. Okay. Is there anyone else? Use it and declare it. Declare. There is another one here in plain shift game mode. So yes, I guess we need to include weather manager here as well. And what else? There are other places, I guess. No, okay, now wherever we have eWeather event type, I think we can change it to our eWeather, which is the one that we did. So let's just change them all. And now let's try to recompile and see what happens. Because we did a lot of substitutions and changes, so should be fine. Maybe I can take a screen meanwhile. Well, no, I cannot do it because I cannot launch the editor meanwhile. Because I wanted to take a screenshot of my level structure to post into the Okay, I think we are close because it's giving this kind of errors now. Sector is a string, I guess. I don't see it. I think we need a. It doesn't like the const char basically. I know it doesn't like the event type. It doesn't like this one. So should we just cast it forces to int? I think we should just forces to int. That's it. There is a problem with the parentheses. And what else? I have another error here. Note is a string, so should be escaped. That's it. Weather manager, you don't like it. Okay, just server slash. Okay, let's compile again. I think we're getting closer, huh? We're getting closer to have this compiled properly. Getting closer. Okay, it's trying to construct FPS weather message, and for some reason is not finding the. So if FPS weather message, the FPS weather message is here. Yes, it doesn't have an empty constructor. We can have an empty constructor like this. I think it's fine. Because all the Unreal objects need an empty constructor to be created, and then so you can create them with an empty, and then you can set parameters later on. But you need to always provide an empty constructor to structs, to classes, to EU objects, to everything. Hello Gerard, how are you? I didn't stream in the last few days because I was traveling actually, so I was not here. I was traveling abroad. So, but I'm back now, and we have some time today. Hopefully, I also have some time tomorrow evening. Hopefully, and I'm working on the weather system in day-night cycle, trying to have this thing working and compiled. But there is a pretty big design decision to make here, which at the moment I'm kind of avoiding, but I mean we have to do it very soon. UPS game event. Why this thing is declared this way? Okay. There is a pretty big design decision to take, which is how to split the world into areas like we discussed the other day, and how to be sure that we can get the information of the player position, package name, okay, it is. Which is basically the question I have here, right? Which we can ask again. I think we should ask to Answerab, we should ask to the forums, we should ask in many places. But FPS weather message. Okay, we don't need those constructors at the moment, so we can temporarily remove these two constructors. We don't care. And hello, I see more people joined. Welcome. Nice to have you here. So we are doing this thing together, and I'm not alone. because it's already complex enough to do, and if there is some people supporting, it's good. We are waiting the compilation to finish. Alright, don't leave me alone. Don't leave me. Why is complaining? Ah, okay. I'm just commenting out everything that we don't need at the moment, just because I want this thing to compile. Okay, I think it did it. Okay, succeeded. Okay, so it compiled. So we can run again our game at the moment with the addition of the weather manager. So, but what is the point? The point that we want to test is again this line, right? This line. So let me compile clean, removing this, and actually launching the server and the client, and we see if we can get the proper name of the level we are in. If not, we will just post the question. If this test doesn't work, I think I will answer to this question saying that for me doesn't work, even if this was like 2015, but I think the question is you say this question is very similar to ours. The problem is that this guy marked as answered actually marked that answered this answer, but it's saying active level in the editor. I mean, active level in the editor, we don't care. We need the anyway. I think it will not work. I think this answer is not the answer to what this guy is asking, but he marked as completed, so he marked it as answered. This guy that answered was a staff guy, so someone real or whatever. Hello, Zwei. Did you have the time to test the baked animations? And are the baked animation working? Because sooner or later I will start to add more NPCs. It will be sooner than later, so it can be tomorrow already. I may start to add more NPCs to the world just to test more complex quests. So okay, the server is starting. Now we start the client as well. What I'm expecting is that whenever the character is saved, we get a message printed out explaining what is the current level. I mean, printing out what is the current level, right? Is what we want. Okay, you're working on that now? Good. Server is a bit slow. I don't know what it's doing, but it seems to be very slow. Okay, we just want to enter the game and see when we are. I disable the crazy jump. I think I did. I think the crazy jump was fun anyway. When we are saving the character, so in 30 seconds from now, or 15 seconds from now, we should see, you see, Save character data current level. I mean, this is just returning the top level, so it's not returning the current level. That's the problem. That's the problem, boys. So this thing is not working for me. This thing is not working for me. So let me pose this question. Hopefully someone answers. So using this code, unfortunately, I get the top level. Let's say persistent level and not the current sub level. So using this code, and we can just copy paste whatever we got here, right? Yeah, there's two things. Even just the first line, because who cares about the second? Right? So what I get, the printout. Let's say the printout says just Iliacon. Okay, so I think we should post this somewhere because it's something we need to fix. So let me just answer to this guy because to me this doesn't work. Can I answer to the code above for me doesn't return the sub level but just the top persistent level, right? I have to log in. I can log in, no problem. Okay, so comment on the question, comment on the answer, comment on the comment. I think what I want to do, I want to reply to this guy. Okay, then we want to ask, this question is exactly what we want, right? Should we search more the internet before posting? Maybe we can search. Oh, what happened? Did he post it or not? I think he posted it, right? I'm a bit confused here. Why? Oh my god. Did he post it or not? Yes, it did. Okay, so how would I get the closest word composition level from a given actor in the world? I'm currently feeding with response system requiring place a gradient actor and location around the open world. Now it raises a question. Blah blah blah. When you do a teleport, you should call UWord flash level streaming. It will block the game thread until all streaming level and current location will be loaded. So we play with no fun. If I can get it to work, my code looks like this. Bam 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 bam. Get actor location. It could be the play. I don't think these guys are discussing the same thing that we need, though. This guy is doing something very, very similar to what we need, but These guys are discussing, but it's close though because I get the closest word composition level from the given actor in a world. Get actor location. I don't understand what this guy is doing actually. I mean, it's just getting the actor location, okay, but it is a vector, so who cares? I mean, I don't know. It's not what we need. Hi there. Seems like using. Um, this guy is losing level streaming though, which is slightly different. Yes, some code in here, but level get streaming level. Right, it's the new map and a new transform, move map, spawn map. We load the stream level, but we can make sure to make it visible before assigning a transform to innocent. Yeah, because we had this code about get streaming level actually. Level is level visible. Okay, is level visible? We need to unload it first and then spawn it in a new location. You know, streaming is extension of the thing. We just fired. Yeah, the is level loaded. I think it's there. In fact, we had it in our, in our code here. We had a bunch of code which was get loaded levels. Yes. Um, yeah, we had. This is my old. I mean, this is the latest, but yeah, I don't know. I think I will post the question and ask again because these answers that I'm getting are not what we need. Um, so let's just post something here. Okay, let's just post a new question, and I think I mean how to get the current player level while using word composition, right? So I want to post it in C++ programming and in 418. Okay. And basically the question is the one that I typed here already. So I would say I am using blah blah blah, use this. So maybe another thing that we can do, we can also take a screenshot of our worlds, and so we see the names, so the people can see the names and can see a bit of what is happening. Sorry, Zoe, I didn't read anything. Let me read now. I have the texture converted and applied for most of the characters, and I'm working through the skeleton adjustment. Okay. The FBX animation that you sent is just for the feet. So maybe it's applied also to certain bones. That may be an issue though. That may be an issue, I tell you. Okay, so if I go to my work composition, which is here, no, first I have to load my main map, which is this one. And then, yes, inside my work composition, I see all the levels. But probably I want to show it differently. I want to show it this way. Right? Just thinking of the best screenshot we can take. The best screenshot we can take is something like this. Where we have, let's say, where we show them then there is a main world, and maybe, you know, there is this Iliacum that I open, and then there are all my sub levels. And well, let me load up one, because otherwise someone can say, yeah, you don't have any loaded levels, so that's why. Okay, fine. Let me load at least one or more. Let me load whatever, one or two, just as an example. Okay, just as an example, we load this and we take a screenshot like this, right? Which I think is better. So why we still say this thing here? No idea. Let's take a screenshot like this, which is nicer, I guess. Okay, so let's so the point, what is the point? The point is that here at the top we have our, you know, Iliacum level. So maybe I can highlight it in red or something. You know, the fact that yes, I have my Iliacum level there, and I have my, well, actually here, and I have my different levels here. But yeah, I think it's fine. I think from this screenshot they should understand it. They should get it, you know. So let's call it Unreal something. Unreal. How do I call them? PS Unreal. No, let's call it World Composition. World Composition.jpg, and then screenshot attached shows the setup, right? And then I want to, how do I add a new, how do I add an attachment to this? Let me ask the question, and then I do edit. Maybe allows me to attach. Okay, my question was posted, which is nice. How do I attach freaking? There it is. Attach, select file. It's called world composition. Yes. We upload this, accept. Wow. No, I wanted to put it at the bottom. Okay, perfect. So we posted our question. I don't know. I mean, if anyone has an idea how to do it, please let me know. But I'm struggling a bit. So let's ask this question also into the C++. I posted it also in the Unreal Discord, and I will post it also on the IRC, right? And if you have any idea, please let me know. Basically, we cannot get the current level, and if we cannot get the current level, we are in trouble, because Yeah, we are in trouble. I mean, again, we can do it by coordinates, but doing it by coordinates is so bad because it means I have to do it manually myself. So annoying, so incredibly annoying. Because we obviously can get the coordinates of the player, you know, and from the coordinates, if I go back to whatever screenshot we had before, we cannot. I cannot go back. Okay, anyway. I mean, assuming again here that we have, you know, our full world, right? Assuming that we have our world divided in chunks, like here, you know, this one, this one, this one. I could obviously divide it by coordinates. I mean, I can take the coordinates and based on the coordinates, I can calculate if the player is inside one of these boxes or not. But means I will have to do it manually, you know, and it's not something that I really like to do it manually. It's not something that I like. So I would like the engine to provide me an API or something to be able to get in which sub level I am at the moment, and it seems it's not doing it. It seems it doesn't have the understanding if it's in that location or not. Don't know why. Don't know why. Okay, anyway. I mean, while we wait for that answer, which someone will give us, hopefully, someone will help us on that. What we can do, we can have at least the day-night cycle work for the yes for the whole world, you know, so everywhere we get the proper day and night cycle, right? So the way to do it is to go back to our weather manager and ensure that here when we start the game, so we have this start game time, right? Start game time. This is what we should do. At the moment we are not calling this function, but we should. I'm just thinking, should we do it in our game state? Because I think our game state happens right at the end of it. Yeah, I would do it here actually. I would do it here. I would start the weather here. I would call start game time. In the old code was, I think, the last function called of the server initialization. So if I go to PS server CPP blah 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 here at the end, the last thing was, you see, weather manager start game time, right? This was the last thing. So I think we should do the same here, and we should say loads the date and time from database and publishes to all clients. So this is what this thing is doing. Maybe I can put it here as well, which is always needed. And we can call our weather manager here and start the game time. So what this will be doing, I need to import my weather manager, otherwise it's not working. Weather manager, okay, fine. Then here, come on. Okay, then we will execute this. We will queue this event. Okay, we will queue this event, and we will print out this, which is always nice, and then we will create our new object. We will publish to this guy, yes, and we will push the event, and then the event will trigger. Okay, nice. Now when the event triggers, I don't know exactly what happens, so this is what we should check. Trigger. So when this triggers, we are just calling handle weather event of this. Okay. And this is where what we commented temporarily, right? This is what we commented out. So this thing we should uncomment, or we should at least uncomment the part that is related to date and time. Let me check. Snow, rain, snow, rain. Oh my god, snow and rain is huge. Fog. Okay, we have fog. We have lightning. And we have day night. Okay, so the only case we want to manage at the moment is this one. Okay, all the rest we can comment out. So let's just comment out everything else. Let's keep this one only, and let's see if we can make it work. Right? Let's see if we can make it work. So switch event type. So we comment out from here. Yes. And I mean, this thing is not needed, I think, because this is the way we were doing it previously. So let me just this is not needed anymore, right? I think that is not needed anymore in our case. This ignore event, I have no idea what is it. Delete index, let me check what was the translation of delete index. Translation of delete index is remove at. Okay. If event equal to ignore of I, ignore remove at. So basically, why we should ignore this event? I have no idea. We had a list of events that we ignore. I don't know what's the meaning of this. Ignore when the event manager handles the event. Okay, because probably some events we were handling here in the weather manager, other events we were asking the event manager to deal with. But I mean, seems really a waste of. I mean, why we? I don't think we need this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I mean, all events should be managed by the event manager, and that's it. So we should never ignore an event. If we get an event here, we are going to execute it for sure. So we switch on the type, and the only thing that we do is that we check for day and night. Yes. This thing is not this, but is an e-weather. Is an e-weather, and and this one game minutes in ticks. What is this? Define game minute in ticks, game minute in seconds multiplied by 1000. What is game minute in seconds? Game minute in seconds. Okay, so it's checking. So every minute is 10 seconds in game. Yes, because the time in game is not the same as the time in real life, so we decided to have a daily cycle which is shorter. So it's actually 10 seconds of real time is 1 minute of game time, right? So that's I think it's the opposite, by the way. I mean, our day in game is shorter. I don't know why it's written that way. 10-second real time for 1 minute game time? No, it's not like this. It's the opposite. Whatever. Um, I think the message there is a bit weird. So what it's doing here, day night, is the first thing that it does is schedules another event. Okay, so as soon as it receives the first event, the first thing that it does is schedule another event in exactly game minute in seconds. So we said in 10 game minute in ticks. I'm a bit confused by this. This macro confused me. What is this macro doing? It's just doing 10 by 1000. Okay, so it's just returning 10,000 seconds, right? So, but this means that in 10 seconds we're going to change the game time. Yes, every 10 seconds we are changing the game time of 1 minute. Okay, fine. The only difference is that in Unreal, seconds are seconds and ticks are not ticks, so we don't need this multiply by 1000. I mean, we express all our events in seconds in the event manager and in the timers. So yeah. So we don't need to use this anymore. Gain minutes in text, we don't need to use this anymore. What we can do, we can still leave it, and we can just use gain minute in seconds, right? Let's just use gain minutes in seconds here, so it's probably more clear than doing the opposite. Okay, fine. So is scheduling the change of so this is schedules a new event which will make the game time progress of 1 minute. The in-game time progress of 1 minute. So this is what it does. Maybe we should have the same comment also in the old code, because I think it's more clear. So in weather manager.cpp, when we are scheduling this event, which is inside handle weather event, down here, day night, I will place the same comment, so we keep it also on the old one. So it's scheduling the change of our game time of 1 minute. And you see that what it's doing is just moving this variable up 1, and then it's checking, okay, if 1 hour passed, and if 1 hour passed, it's 24 hours, I don't know, whatever it's doing. Then it's checking for the months, and I don't know, it's just doing the calculation of time. And only save and broadcast every game hour. Okay, that's interesting. Only save and broadcast every game hour? Right? Okay. So we are not broadcasting this every 10 seconds. We are broadcasting this only every 600 seconds, whatever it is, right? Every 600 seconds, which is 1 hour. Which is 1 hour for the in-game time. So every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, the game time changes of 1 hour. Every 10 minutes, right? It is what it is. This is what it is. Can I change that comment because it's so broken? Number of seconds for each game minute. 10 seconds real time for 1 minute game time. It is exactly the opposite. Why we wrote it this way? I don't understand. Meaning, okay. I think I read it the opposite way, but so 10-second in real time. It doesn't mean that you have to wait 1 minute in game time, but it corresponds to. Okay. Yeah, I think it's okay. Like it's written like this. It was just confusing me. It's not that you have to wait 1 minute to reach 10 seconds. It's that when 10 seconds are passing, then we advance the game time of 1 minute. Okay. 10-second real time advances 1 minute in game time. Okay. Maybe like this I understand it better. So it was a bit confused actually. Okay. Do I want to change it also in the old one? Okay, we can. Done. Just to keep it consistent, you know, all the new. So there is basically doing this, and then after that is saving the game time. Okay. So he's saving the game time every hour, so every 10 minutes, which I think is fine. I mean, it means that if the server goes down at the 59th, minute, you will restart the hour from the beginning, so you lose 1 hour, which is 10 minutes in reality in game. So, which is, 10 minutes in real life. So I think that the maximum that you lose is 10 minutes. I think it's okay. I think it's okay. It's just to avoid impacting the database too much, to save stuff so often. But I think it's one query. So to me, it's not a big hit. Just one query every 10 minutes. So it's not a difference. But maybe having it every 10 seconds is more. So save time, current time, blah blah blah. Set server option, set server. Okay, this one I think is working already. So this one I think we are already fine the way it is. The one that for sure is not working is the broadcast game time. This one is the one that is actually sending the information to the clients, and you see here is commented out in fact. But this one is the one that we have to convert if we want. Also, this broadcast game time to super clients. Okay, at the moment is commented out. I think it's fine. So this is the one that is sending the change of game time to the clients. So when 1 hour is passing, it's sending the new data to the new thing. So what we can do, we can so first of all we need a message server to client to update the time of the day. At the moment we don't have it, so we need blueprint callable event, blueprint implementable event on our player controller for each player controller in the game, because we need to tell it to every to every player. Yes, we need to tell it to every player. So I remember I already had a broadcast something. Now I don't remember where the hell I had this, but I remember I had a broadcast. I'm pretty sure I had a broadcast. Was called multicast. Multicast. There it is. There it is. This was exactly the one I was searching for. This one is the one that we broadcast for, I think, the say message. When someone says something, or when we have to broadcast something to everyone in the world, right? So we need to do the same, exactly the same. Exactly the same. So this piece of code, we just take it, and we move it here. And I just want to see if this broadcast was actually so broadcast game time. Let me check it. Broadcast game time in all the open documents. Yes, exactly this function. What is doing? Event manager broadcast. Send messages to many clients with one function call. Okay, but how do you know to which clients? There is this scope. Scope is broadcast. As a default is everyone but self. Okay. Okay, I understand. So it's fine. It's broadcasting to everyone. So it's what I wanted, just what I wanted to get. So it's broadcasting this message to everyone, and the way it does it, just iterates through the clients and search all the clients and send them the message. So we were going to do the same thing. So, but instead of calling another function, I think I would like to do it here. So why should I call another function? Let's just do it here. So we need the world. Yes, we need the world. Without the world, we cannot do anything. Where do we get it from? We can get it from Spawn Manager, which is the easiest. Or, yeah, we can get it from Spawn Manager. If we get it from Spawn Manager, I think Spawn Manager has something like current world. Because our weather manager doesn't have a pointer to, I don't think so. I don't think he has a pointer. Cache manager has a pointer to world. Cache manager, let me just search if there is the world inside of this somewhere. No, it doesn't have a pointer. So yeah, I think if we get it from Spawn Manager is probably best. So we just include Spawn Manager, and with that I think we are fine, because then we can do Spawn Manager. I think there is something like current world. Hello Hami, how are you? Sorry, I read your message a bit late, but Spawn Manager current world, I think it is. Come on, IntelliSense, you can do it. You can do it, IntelliSense. It's still loading, eh? I mean, it's thinking, you know? It's thinking if the Spawn Manager has whatever it is, but okay, I will just go manually. I think it's easy. It's quicker. Okay, it did it. Okay, current world, you say? This is what I was saying. So current world, and then from this we do get player controller iterator, yes. And then here we do this, and we do this. So we find our player controllers, which are basically all the players in the game. And from that we call receive system message. I think it's something very similar to this one. Let me just check. This receive system message. What was that? Receive system message is a blueprint implementable event. Yes. Exactly. So I think we can do receive game time. We can do the same. We can have another function which is called receive game time. Receive game time. I don't know if you want to do a generic receive weather, but no, I think it would be a bit of a mess. So let's keep it as I want to have everything as PS, so it's easier to find in the editor. So we will have a receive game time, right? And receive game time is going to be which parameter do we need? I have no idea. PS server manager broadcast message time 0 game time. I think we need all of this. I mean, exactly this thing, right? We need exactly this thing. So we need to publish this and to have this. And the difference is that I want to see in the old code, in our weather manager, this broadcast time. What is this? Weather message. Is this thing? Minutes, hour, day, month, year. Yeah. I mean, we can do it like this, or we can just publish the whole thingy, you know? We can publish our message, because actually we have this message as a real message, right? We have this message as this FPS weather message. We have it, and we could create it like this. Good. We could create it like this, excluding client, and which is this one, yes, right? And this one is doing nothing else than setting type of weather. We don't care. Doing this and this and this and this and this. I mean, it's pretty simple. So do we want to do it this way or the other way? I don't know. I mean, seems a bit of a waste to send a whole message. I mean, why we have to send just 5 parameters? I mean, I'm just. I mean, why I need to do this? I don't think I'm gonna change this anytime soon. So receive. So I think it's. I mean, it's not that we are adding another variable there, right? So I think it's fine. I think it's fine. So we will have a PS character, and we will have a bunch of const, int, const. I don't know why he wants all this thing to be const, but it is what Unreal wants. So we will do it as he wants, and then you need to have the ampersand. Give me an ampersand. You need to have the ampersand. So these are output parameters in the editor. Okay, fine. So we will have our receive game time, which is actually getting triggered now every 10 minutes. So I can shorten it so that we trigger it every, I don't know. Well, it's triggered the first time immediately, so which is good. So we will see it immediately on the client side, right? Okay, so this is good. That is good. So let me see if this compiles. We can compile with the editor open, so we get a hot reload, which is nice, and we get this function already present here. Yes, let's just try to compile it this way. Just thinking, is there anything else needed? So when we do the weather manager, right? So we said we broadcast the game time. Yes. We spawn call this. It should be fine. It should be fine. think it should be fine because yeah, and when the player connects, I think we are sending. No, actually, when the player connects, I don't think we are sending this message when the player connects, unfortunately, but we have to. I think at the moment we are sending this out when 10 minutes are gone and when the server starts, but obviously there will be no players connected, so at the server start it doesn't make any difference. It doesn't broadcast anything to anyone. So this means that when the client is connecting, he should request this information. Right? When the client connects, he should receive this information. So he should receive, he should request for a weather message. We are not doing it at the moment, but I think the old code is doing it for sure. It's doing it for sure. Now the question is, where is it doing it in the old code? Do we care? Well, I think we care because I want to just understand how it was working. But I think that for every new player connected, as soon as he creates the player, he should send the weather message. Let me just search weather message everywhere and see what happens. Okay, we're still inside the weather manager, but there should be, unfortunately, it's very verbose. I mean, there are so many weather managers, but there should be one, you know, it is called when the character is connected, when new player is connecting. I mean, automatically. I think it's this one, update client. I think it's this one, update client. Update client with the weather for all the sectors. Sector is raining, if it's raining, if it's snowing, blah blah blah. Okay. Send client game time. I think it's this thing. So probably we can reuse the same function. Let me just see who's calling this. Someone should be calling this. Entity manager and the world. Client needs to know the starting position of the player with the world loads. And send the world time and weather here too. Yeah, you see? So this is when a new entity is connecting basically to the world. And we do two things. We send him his position and we send him also the world time and weather. Okay. Fine. So we need a way to, or we do it server side as well, or we have the client requesting it. Which one we want to do? Good question. Do we know when the client is connecting in our PS code? I don't think so. I don't think that in our code here we know when a new player is connected. Well, we have the constructor obviously of our because the other way, I mean, where we can trigger it is inside my character, right? So inside a character, there is an event that we called, which is not the begin play. Well, begin play could also be another place. But I think we had a better function. We had a better function which was called like player enter into the world or something like this. It is event player teleport to main world. Okay. right? So that is the time where our character is actually entering into the world, right? And at this point, we want the yeah, I'm just thinking one thing. Just thinking if I change the weather client side, I mean, is the weather in any way global or not? No, it's not. Eh? So if I have two players in the same sector, and I change the weather server side, do they both see it automatically, or do I have to send the weather to each, and then each is working on this client to set the weather? I don't know. I don't know. It's a good question, though. It's a good question. So the question is, if I'm doing, if I run the same code for, I'm so confused now. I'm so confused. Because the question is, I have a sky object, right? I have a sky object. I think the answer is simple, but I don't know it. I have a sky object. This sky object is like having, you know, the weather and everything, and it's raining and it's snowing. Is this sky object existing also server side, so that I can set it once and all the players that will see that sky will see raining? Or is this sky object existing only client side, and then I have to do all of this thing that I'm doing? Because I have an event begin play, and I have no idea if it is executed server side and client side. I have no idea. I mean, my understanding was that this was executed client side. But now I mean, thinking of weather, I mean, if, because what is the difference? The difference is the following, right? The difference is the following. Let me explain what I'm thinking. I don't know if it's correct or not, but wow, we have a orange background color. So what I'm thinking is the following. We have our, you know, as usual, we have our, let's do it this way. We have our server down here, right? Maybe it's too big. 36. We have our server down here, and we have our client 1 here and our client 2, right? And what is the point? The point is that all the three things here are loading the world, right? Are loading the world, and we actually have a sky object, which is this guy, right? Which is managing the weather, right? So we have this thing which is managing the weather. So which is showing if, you know, which is showing if let me do something. Let me do something because I want to do it in a nice way. So I have my BP Sky. So the BP Sky is loaded here for sure. Is loaded here for sure. I have no idea if it's loaded also server side. I have no freaking idea. And I also don't know if this sky is replicated or not. Because if this object is replicated, so let's assume that it's the same object replicated, you know, to client 1 and client 2, instead of deciding here the weather with all the functions that I just shown you, which is saying, you know, game time and fog and whatever and rain and blah blah blah, instead of deciding this and then sending it manually to the clients like I was doing now, right? because I was basically creating a message, like you have seen. I'm creating a message here, which is called whatever, freaking receive game time. Okay, so this one, which is a function that I see in my clients, and then in my clients I get, you know, this receive game time, this receive game time, and based on this, what do? I change the color. I change the sky color, for example. Right? I change the sky color. So the same I do here. So I send these two messages. I receive the game time. I change the sky color. Okay? So there is one way. It is the way that I was doing now. But the other way would be that my sky is actually a replicated object. So instead of sending this message and sending that, I just set it here on the server side. You know, I just set it on the server side, and it is getting replicated for me automatically. Understand what I mean? Now the point is, I'm not very familiar with this. So is this object replicated automatically? I don't think so. I think I need to tell replicate. Should this event be replicated? I mean, event within event. Run on all inclined multicast. Replicate this event from the server to everyone. No, I mean, bit confused by this. Well, let's say that on the server side, I don't care if it rains. Okay. So actually here, I don't care if here in the server side is raining or not. I don't care, right? Because I would say it's better if it doesn't, because it's just using you know, blueprint time and whatever, calculation time for nothing, because no one will see the server. So I have to send it to the client. It's just if there is a simpler way, instead of setting it or just having it replicated. So I will save. So if I do it with a replication thing, what I will save? I will save this call. So I will not have to do this call anymore. And I will just have to set the parameters on the server side, assuming that they are sent automatically to the client. Which personally I think is more complex because I never did it. But I don't know. What do you think, boys? Do you have a point of view? Do you have a point of view on that? I mean, this is the way we know how to do. You know, this way I think it works very easy, because we can now, after creating that function, what we can do, we can go in our character blueprint here, and in the same way that we had a receive system message, right, which is this one, in the same way we can have receive game time, and it's super easy. I think I can do it this way. I mean, it's just easier this way. I mean, I don't know why I still have my keyboard stuff here and not in mouse and keyboard. Why? I should have all the mouse and keyboard here. I don't want to have stuff for mouse and keyboard that is not there. Probably because this is a function. Yes, I know why. Okay, let's leave it for now. Let's not mix things. So I want to have here our receive game time. Boom. Which now we have, you see. The important point is that this is still server side. right? There is absolutely a server side. So what we should do, we should have a new function, a new event, which is called receive game time on client, and this one should have exactly the same parameters I have there. So should have minute. The funny thing is that anyway it's not sent. It's not sent to clients every minute. So I don't even know why I have minute here. It's sent to the client every hour, and I think that the client is just calculating the time, you know. No, I think it's sent, as we said, it's sent as soon as the client connects. Okay. Yeah. So when the client connects, it gets the right event. So yeah, it's fine. It's fine. So we send it when the client connects and at every hour. Okay. So that's the difference. I mean, that's the thingy. So we want a minute, we want hour, we want day, we want month, and we want year. Right? Okay. So we just call this one. So we just call receive game time on client. This one is replicated on owning client and reliable. And this one we just connect all the values, very easy. And then what else? Now when we are here, maybe we can just do a printout just for fun for now, and print out, let's say, append of this thing, and just say that what we print out game time received, and we print out the minutes, we print out the hour, we print out the day, we print out. Yeah, if I do it like this, it will not be understandable, unfortunately. I need to leave at least a space or something. It will not be readable. The day, then we do another space here, and the month, and then we do another space and the year. Okay, so we print out this. We print out this thing when we receive it on the client, and then we will see. Okay, so let's do this step first, so we see something working, and then when we receive the game time, we will have to connect it to our weather system. But at that point, it will be kind of easy. The only thing I want to do the same check I was doing here, which is this thing, which is ensure that it's getting, because the message is, I don't know if it's required actually, but I basically want to be sure that I get, the right player controller of this player, and not going into the, by the way, why I have to go through the pawn and I don't go directly to the player controller? I don't do it because on the server side I have all the player controllers, right? So okay, anyway, let's do it like this. Okay, so this may be not needed. Okay, this call may be not needed, but let's say it's just for safety. So for safety, we do this, and there is receive game time. Okay, so we receive the game time, and what do we do next? Nothing for now. We just print it out. just print it out, boys. We do absolutely nothing. It doesn't like it. Why? Could not find a pin for parameter here of receive game. What the fuck? What do you mean? I don't know, sometimes this client is weird. It just messed up something, the parameters, I don't know why, but it's not my fault. It's the engine fault. I don't know, I did something weird. But it's okay. Okay, so we printed. So what we are expecting that happens? What we are expecting that happens is that the server starts up and tries to send a message to all the client connected, but obviously there are no client connected, so nothing happens. But he starts to keep his own timing, you know, so he knows which time it is. Maybe every time that he changes, we could just print out something just for fun. Or well, no, we have it when the character connects anyway. When the character connects, right? So now we need so we wait 10 minutes, but it seems to be too much to wait 10 minutes just to have a broadcast, or I shorten the time. Or anyway, we need somewhere in our player controller to be calling this. So receive game time. So I think what we can do. Where was that? What was that event? Player teleported to the main world. Right? So or we do it here. Because here is requesting the vitals, but actually player teleport to main world. Actually, what we could do it just server side. Who cares? Teleport player to main world. Why not doing it directly? Server side. So as soon as we call that, we also call the game time function, and so we do it in one shot. Probably easier, no? Instead of going to the client requests the server sends back the answer, you know, blah blah blah. Teleport player to main world doesn't exist. It's impossible. Player teleports. Oh, well, I wrote it the wrong one. Player teleport to main world. Okay, there it is. So when we call this, because it's an implementable event. Okay, but this one should be called from somewhere, right? This one is called for sure from somewhere. There it is. So here is where we spawn our character. So it's request exactly. So or we can do it here. Trigger an event in our player character, initialize it in the blueprint. Fine. And I think we can just say send the game time. Send the game time to the client. Why not? Why have to go back to the blueprint and the blueprint call the server and from the server call the client? I mean, go back and forth 2 times when I can just do it once, right? They will run in parallel, but who cares, right? Who cares about that? So basically, this function will be called server side, and we go here, and we call this, which will set a timer. And every 30 seconds we request the thingy, and then another event will trigger this. Yeah, it's okay. I mean, they will run in parallel, like, yeah, it's okay. Who cares? They will run in parallel. It's perfectly fine. So how do we send the game time to the client? We call our receive event on the pawn. The pawn is this guy, spawn character, right? Spawn character is a pawn. Yes, it's an APS character. So this guy, on this guy, we want to call if IntelliSense wakes up. Hello, IntelliSense? Hello? Fuck it. Okay, anyway, is receive, I mean, is this one, right? Is receive game time. So we can call this, or even better, what we can do, we can call a function in Weather Manager, which is doing the job, because otherwise we have to do here all the get Weather Manager, whatever, right? We can just call maybe, I think so. We can do Weather Manager. Let me check, because we had this update client. Update client is exactly update client is exactly the function that was called by this one, right? Update client. So I think we can have the same, just with the difference that it is an APS character pointer to whatever client, and we do the same. So we do the same here. Update client. Wait. Update client here. Okay, fine. Boom. And here, now all this stuff we don't really need. I just want to send the game client time. Yeah, exactly. Send game client, right? So this thing. So let's do like this. So it's already is ready for the future, when we will also send the weather system for every sector. But for now, we just have update client, and we send the client game time, and we pass in the client, I think. And this send game client time, okay, doesn't like me. This send client, I think, is always here. Yes, exactly. So we do the same. Okay, we do the same here and there, and here we call the same function, with the difference that we do it only for the client that's just spawned. So we already have the client, so it's fine. So we just have to call this thing, right? So pretty cool, pretty easy. Okay, place it double. So we just do that. We just do that. We use the same blueprint implementable event, and so we will receive client side the same thingy. So we receive it one time when the client starts, and then every 10 minutes. Every 10 minutes? Yeah, every 10 minutes. Yeah. Okay, so let's close this. Do you want to save all of that? Man, I don't know. I didn't really change those things. I mean, I really didn't change any of this. Why you saying I want to save that? No, I don't want to save that. Okay, so let me compile and then clean compile, and then we test if we receive our game time on the client side, okay? Hello Simone, ciao. How are you? We are working on the day and night cycle and the weather system, so I imported the weather manager so that we have it. And we are trying to have, what happened? think I did something bad. Okay, yes, I didn't call this function. I need to call, so here what we do, we call weather manager, right? And then we call, what? Don't like it. Point of incomplete class. Okay, fine. It's no problem. It's no problem. Okay. And then we call the update client. IntelliSense cannot do it. Just cannot do it. But anyways, update client, believe me. And we pass in our spawned character, right? Which is the character we just spawned in the game. Okay. So now it should be fine. Now it should be okay. We are proceeding, Simone. Slowly, but we are proceeding. There's a lot to do, but yeah, there is continuous progress. This week I was a bit busy because I was traveling, and so I couldn't stream during the evenings, apart from the beginning of the week, I think. But today's okay. I mean, yesterday at the end I wanted to stream, but I didn't. But I did some work yesterday on the weather manager, so some of the class has been already ported. Yeah, I mean, some pieces of the class I did yesterday, and some I'm doing today on stream. And then I think I will be able to stream tomorrow evening. Let me check, but I think I will do tomorrow evening as well. And today we can do until 8 o'clock. Yeah. Tomorrow I can stream. Tomorrow evening I can stream again, and probably also Tuesday. So next week could be a good week for our progress. Yes, next week will be a good week for our progress. Okay, just waiting the compilation to finish. Meanwhile, let's see if anyone answered to my question. Anyone answered to my question? No. Let me see if someone answered to this question on. No, at the moment no one answered, but okay, just half an hour went through, so it's fine. Okay, so now the server is starting. It will try to send out information to the clients, but they are non connected because it just happened. So, ouch, something bad happened. Okay, something bad happened. There is an error in our query. Somewhere here. Select option value from server option, well option, well name, blah blah blah. Holy shit, what is this? I didn't like that. Okay. There is just a bad usage of select option value, where option name, get server option, this one. Escape, yes, because I think I need to do this as usual. Right? I think I do. Okay, let's recompile it. Unfortunately, I have to recompile it also this way. Okay. Yeah, the f string was not properly sent to the. Maybe we can just execute it like this on breakpoint. I will just breakpoint here and see what it does. just to see if we get the right value. Compilation time is still long. Thank you, Simone. Yeah, I'm doing my best to keep the game alive. To keep to be sure that whatever has been created in the last 15 years stays alive. It is kind of my role as a project leader to ensure that what we did doesn't die, and it's what I'm doing to ensure that it doesn't die. Okay, server options. So let's say result is valid. Result count. Didn't like it. I think he liked it. Yeah, I think this time he liked it. Okay, so he loaded properly the thingy. Now the game time. So the game should have its own time now. I don't know what I have in the database for that, but we can check. Let's check server options and see server options, yes. And let's see what we have. We have a game time of 11:00. Okay, so this is what we have in the database at the moment. 11:00. So what I'm expecting is that when I load the client and I connect to the server is sending me that time and is printing it out. Because at the moment we didn't do anything else, right? We just printed out the information. And in the same way we can pass in the weather system later on. I mean, for now we're just passing in the time, but it's okay. It should happen now. So when I connect to the thingy, let me see. I don't see that. Ah, here it is. Game time received. Okay, 0:00:00. Why game time received 0:00:00? Anyway, it didn't work. I mean, it didn't send out the right. The call happens, but the call happens for sure. But in our weather management, let me just put maybe. Can we make this thing quicker so that I can? Because now waiting 10 minutes is a bit overkill, Send client game time. Maybe we should have a breakpoint here and see what values he's trying to send. Even if I think that game time, receive game time should be okay, but for some reason this thing is all empty. This is our problem at the moment. So let me check when he's loading the game time. Well, it should be loading 11 though. Okay, let me start it again. Okay, it became night because we have our random weather. That's why. We will stop the stream at 8, so in 1 hour from now, and I will go to dinner, and I think that then I will see each other tomorrow. This evening, I think I will work on this, but partially, and I will work off stream. So I will work on this while doing other stuff. So maybe, yeah, I will not stream this evening. Okay, let me just check if this guy get server option. Start game time. Let me check what is the time here. 0 and 0, so it doesn't work at all. This thing doesn't work at all. Load time, get server option, game time, last time, game date, last date. This thing doesn't work at all. Let me check the result. So the query is not working. The query is not doing what we should want it to do. The query is not working for some reason. If result is not valid, okay, select option from select option value, blah blah, where option name escape. Result actually has something is not working. Can I just printf first? I mean, so it's easier and or can I just teach up to ANSI and that's it? It's probably easier. I think it's not. It doesn't like nav string as a variable parameter of a query for whatever reason. So don't ask me why, but it doesn't like it. Don't ask me why, but it doesn't like it. So let's put it this way and see if we return some values. Because at the moment we are getting basically garbage as an output of our database. We are getting garbage. But now it should be okay. I think it should be okay. I think it needs that function which is working on is working on like C++ base stuff. I think it needs like foundation code. I think he is getting confused if I send an f string. I think he's confused if I send that. So let's see now. Let's see what it does, boys. Result. Oh, size is 1 now. Okay. So I think we are getting the values. Nice. I think we are getting the values. Yes, 11, 0. Okay, good. We get it. So now it's okay. And 101. Okay, perfect. Okay, now it's okay then. Now it's okay. So we get the right value. So now we can test on the client, but I'm pretty sure that we get the values proper. Right? I think we do. So it should be fine. Let's try, but there is no reason why the client should not receive the right values. And by the way, we ported another piece that is pretty relevant, which is the piece that is reading server options. Right? The server option table, we will need it later on as well for other features. And now we have it, and it's working properly. which is great. Okay, let me see if I go up here. There should be a receive game time somewhere with our values. What is it? Do you see it? I don't see it. Create, window number. There it is. Game time received 0114100. Okay, so 0114100. Anyway, these should be all the so it should be minutes, hours, and then 4. I don't know what is it. It's month. Yeah, I think it's the month. And 100. So okay, I think it's fine. Just before, I don't understand where it's coming from, but I see it. 100, 14. Yeah, this was the game date. Okay, fine. So we get everything we need. So now the point is that we have to connect. This time to the actual visuals that we get on the client. So we need to connect the time to something in the game, to some visualization in the game. And we already have the weather system. I mean, we already have the game time. So let me just check. So I think we should disconnect at this point the random weather that we added, because they say it is random weather. I mean, this 5% chance of thunder, 5% chance of rain. I mean, this was all my test, but we don't want this anymore. So I think we can remove completely this call. Set floating parameter activated. Clear setting function. Apply weather settings. I don't know exactly what is this doing. There is applying the weather settings. Apply weather settings is interpolating between the previous weather, the new weather. I mean, I don't know. I think it's interpolating all the numbers. But we are not going to do this anymore. Well, interpolation I think we can do, because we want a smooth transition, you know. We want a smooth transition, so I think it makes sense. So let's try to leave the interpolate. I think we will have to review it a bit, because I didn't do it myself, so I don't know if it works or not. But this guy, I think we can keep. But we want to be sure that we set the time of the day. So I think there was a function called let me just check what this is doing. Skylight, fog. Rain, display name contains branch set. I have no idea what this piece of code is doing. But I think we don't need to do anything of this anymore. Or anyway, we need to. This is the begin play, right? The begin play. I don't want to do anything here. I don't want to set up anything. So let's just disconnect this. Activate ambience on queue. Branch. Let's just disconnect this for a second. Okay, so I don't want this to do anything. Okay, I want it to do anything, but I want that when I remember there is a function which is called set time or something. Set the time from outside is blueprint. 01 range where 0 is midnight, 05 is midday. Okay, exactly. So it is the function that we want to call. Okay, it is the function we want to call where new time is range between 0. No, but I will prefer that this function takes you know, takes the time of the day in hours. Now I'm just thinking what happens after this, because it does set time, it set this array, but then if we don't apply the weather settings, I think nothing will happen. So I think we need after this to call apply weather, otherwise this will not work. Okay, this will not work, we'll do nothing. And the time of the day, yeah, so the time of the day, now we receive as an input so the time for set is blueprint, input is time, or input is time of the day in hours, which then gets converted into 01 range where 0 is midnight, 0 is midday. So yeah, this is what I think I want to do. I want to keep the same thing so that I just specify the hours, right? So if I want to convert that, how do I do it? I have a number that is between 0 and 24, and I want to convert it to a number that is between 0 and 1, with the difference that, I mean, my 0 is the same 0, yeah, it's the same. So 0, 5, so just divided by 24, just divided by 24, right? So just divided by 24. So if I do 12 divided by 24 is 0, 5. Yes. And if it's 0 divided by 24 will be 0, so it's okay. If I do 8 divided by 24 will be 0 0.3. Yeah, divided by 24 is okay. So we can take this. So as an input though, I would like to have a number. I don't want to have this thing. I don't want to have a float. I want to have an integer. And I want to take this and divide it by 24. No, please, it has to be a float. The result has to be a float. Okay. So divided by 24. So this thing, boom, divided by, boom. And what else? And this thing divided by 24 goes into, was it item? Item. It was connected here, right? Yes. And then we apply the weather setting. So now we just have to call this function, obviously client side, but we need to call this set time whenever we receive our message of the new time. So where did we have that? We have that in PS characters. So okay, we do this, we print that, and so blah blah blah, fine. Then how do we go to our sky? Very good question. How the hell do we go to our sky? How the hell do we go here? We need to set a. We need to set a variable that is pointing to this sky in our actor, right? I still find the fact that the weather is on a geometry object a bit weird, because now basically we have this sky object which is holding all the logic of the weather system and the time of the day. I don't know if it's really the right way to do it. Imagine we have multiple skyboxes in the future. I mean, where do we move this code, So, it's not really something that sounds amazing, Okay, anyway, for now let's leave it here, but I think maybe in the future we have to move this stuff. How do we go from our player to the sky object? We need to set in the player controller a variable, which is our sky object. There is no other way. So we need to set here BP sky. We have to set a sky weather object variable, which is of type BP sky. Can we do it? Yeah, I think we can do it. Okay, we can. Sky weather object. Okay, fine. So now, when we do the begin play, no, I don't want it in the begin play. I want it in the construct. I think when we are constructing the object, what is the difference of doing it in begin play or doing it in the construct? I think it's the same. For us, makes no difference. Do we have a construct here? We have a construction script. Construction script. I don't think this is getting called by anyone. Function executed when the blueprint is placed or modified. No, but so the standard construct, No. Wait. Why there is no construct in this blueprint as a default? It should be, right? No. What is the difference? Because this thing is not. I mean, my character has a construct event. So why construction script? I'm a bit confused at the moment because I remember there was a construct, right? Like tick function. I'm a bit confused. So event tick, right? If I add event tick, you see it appears, right? It appears. Why event construct doesn't? Construct is only for Windows, for widgets. It's only for widgets? Maybe it is. Event construct. Yeah, I think it's very confused by the widget thingy. So widget have construct, but event construct like this, but players do not have that. I think that probably players have begin play, so I think I can put it in begin play. Begin play sounds okay. I think it's hopefully it's getting called one time only, but I don't know if it's getting called one time only, but I hope so. So I would like to set, I would like to set into my player controller. So here I want to get my player controller and just set in my player. Maybe I can put it like up here so it's not confusing to anyone. I want to do this, then I want to cast it to PS character blueprint, right? And then with the PS character blueprint, I want to set the game time something. No, the weather object, the weather set sky weather object. Yes, exactly. And so from here I go here. Sorry for the fact there is a bit of a mess in the graph, but I think we will change it later. For now we leave it like it is. So, and I want a reference to self, right? So I want myself, which is this BP Sky, this nice guy, boom, connected here. So here we are basically set a reference to the sky in the player controller, okay? So we set this reference, doesn't really like it. Why doesn't like it? PS character blueprint does not inherit from player controller. Okay. No, sorry, I did it stupidly. So this cast to plane shift player controller, not plane shift player controller. What did I have? I don't know. Okay, it should be fine. And set weather object. Did I place it in character blueprint? Oh my god. I placed it in wait a second. No, it should not be in the character, it should be in the player controller. Why I did it here? You're not following me, huh? You should have told me. It's the wrong place. Hello, Saurab. Hi. Welcome. You should have told me, boys. So I don't have to set it here. I need to set it in player controller, which is here. Understand? So this will be sky weather object. We called it sky weather object. Weather object, which is of type sky BP sky something. Okay, BP sky. Okay, fine. So now with this, if I go here and finally I take from my so wait, I do this and do set weather something. Okay, so now it should be fine. Now it should be fine. Okay, so we want to do that, and we want to do this, and that's it, nothing else. So we just set the reference. So now that we have the reference set, hello Satya, welcome. Welcome to the stream. By the way, guys, if you want to know when I'm live, you can just subscribe. If you click on subscribe, you can see when I go live, and it will help me because I'm trying to reach 1000 subscribers so that we can enable advanced feature of YouTube, so it would be nice. Okay, so here we set a reference to the sky. Now that we have this reference, what we want to do, we want in our player controller, when we receive the game time, right, the day and night cycle game time, which we receive it, well, yeah, we receive it we receive it in the pawn. Yes, we receive it in the pawn. So we receive it here, we receive it down here. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. We receive it here. Now from this we can finally get our weather objects, right? And inside our weather object we can call the receive time something, the get time thingy. How do we call it? No idea. We should have here. We didn't create it yet. Okay, we have to create a new event. No, the set time. Set time. It's called set time. Yes, set time. So we call it set time, right? And it is set time, which is called inside that object. And as an input, it takes, for now, just the hour. Okay, the hour is what we want to have. Boom. Boom. Okay, like this. Now, yes, I think that's it. So we receive from the server the time, and we send it to the sky object. The sky object is thus divided by 24, is setting it into this array where we keep all the weather system, and then is applying the weather settings. Now, if this will work, I have no idea, but we can try. Let's try to set a variable in the database, which is like 12. 12 is midday, right? No, let's do 0 0. Let's do or 1 o'clock. Let's do 1 o'clock. Right? Let's do 1 o'clock. Let's do 1 o'clock. So should be very dark, and then we do 12 and see if it works. Okay. I think I save this. Let me recompile this and save this. Okay. So let me launch again the server and the client. The server is still running, maybe? No, it's not. Okay, but we tested anyway that this thing is working. I mean, the information is properly received by the client, so we don't have to retest that again. And anyway, we have a printout, so we can see if we received that. Hello Satya. To stream in 1080? I don't know. I didn't. I think I can. The text is not very clear. I think the text should be clear when it's this size, like here in this window. I think the text should be clear, and it should be clear also when I program, like here in the C++. This size should be okay. The stuff that you will not be able to see very clearly is the stuff at the bottom here, like this small text. I think you will not see it. The reason I don't go at 1080p is probably because of bandwidth. I mean, I don't know if I have enough, bandwidth to stream at such a high resolution, and also I don't know if YouTube really has like infinite capacity for this, because I'm actually uploading every time I stream like 4 hours or 5 hours or whatever, so it's really a lot of videos that I'm uploading, and I don't know if at high resolution, they will start to be gigabytes and gigabytes, and one day YouTube will just say sorry, it's too much. So this is another reason why I was streaming, let's say, at acceptable level, so at the level that you could see. But we could try another. I mean, the next one. I mean, I think it's very easy. I just go to OBS and I increase the resolution, right? Because at the moment I'm streaming, my video here is set at 2500, I think. Is the current resolution of this monitor is 2500. So there is definitely a lot of space, you know, to improve compared to what I'm streaming. I'm hoping you like the content. Obviously, I'm not a professional. I mean, I'm just trying to, you know, walk my own way. So let me see what happened. So I think we received the okay, so we received the value, which is 014100, but then something bad happened. Something bad happened because I think we are executing BP Sky apply, receive game time on client, okay, set time, apply weather settings, apply one. So when he goes into apply one, he starts to get confused and he gives a lot of errors because he cannot find fog, he cannot find skylight, he cannot find a bunch of stuff because I removed. The problem is that I removed let me just check what this apply is doing. Okay, so apply, interpolate, apply one. So if we go inside apply one, it says it cannot find, for example, light, skylight, unable to read property skylight. This one, skylight. So skylight is probably empty. Why skylight is empty? Probably because I missed some of the initialization at the beginning. I think if I don't do at least one set target weather, it's probably not working, but okay, interpolation is fine. I mean, I don't care too much about interpolation. I care more about the apply one. Also fog. All these parameters it didn't like they were empty, you know. So fog, skylight, light, all these parameters it thinks they are empty. So let me just check what is the where are these parameters going? Okay, wait a second. So we have our variable, right? And when I set the time, I can function random weather. I'm a bit lost at the moment, but I hope I will find myself again. Random weather. Okay, so random weather was basically putting into this the time here, okay, and then set target weather was taking the time and putting it where, and putting it as index number 6 in our target array. Yeah, I don't like too much the fact that we are using an array with explicit numbers, but it's a bit confusing. But time, so index 6, so it's reading from index 6. Now so there is index 7 and index 4. There is index 4 again. I don't know why we are reading the same parameter twice, by the way. Here is reading fog and cloud. Here is reading the number 5, the 5th element. It's never reading 6. I mean, my time is never. Here it is. Time. It is time. Time is reading it here. Curve light. Curve light. Did he complain also about curve light? Or curve light is okay. Curve light seems to be okay. So light multiplier. So it's taking my time and is getting a float value of this thing. Get float value of the curve. Curve light, I think. Okay, curve light is this thing. And based on the time, that's pretty smart, by the way. Based on the time of the day, yeah. So if I give him like 0.1 or 0 point something, is getting this value, which should be dark, right? So the result is a dark value. Okay. So it's getting this based on this light curve, and then is multiplying it by something that is called light multiplier, which I have no idea where it's coming from, but light multiplier is 2. Okay, so this is kind of a basic thing, but it's multiplied by 2. Fine. And then it's putting it into this scalar parameter value, and it's putting it as a skybox light. Okay, I see. So it's basically just changing the skybox value. So in our, so I think I should move myself because this is not a very good place to be. Let me just move my character to a more appropriate location. Otherwise we don't see anything. My character. Where is my character? My character is 116. This guy. But at the moment I have a completely invalid location. So I need to reset my location to something that is more reasonable. Okay. Let me apply this. Okay. Let me just restart the client. Well, yes, okay. Let me just restart the client and see what value I get now. Maybe we can get 2 because maybe 10 minutes passed and maybe we have already, it's not 1 o'clock anymore, but it's 2 o'clock. But we will see it because in the database, in theory, if the server side works, it should write down, it should save into the database the value. No, it's still 1 o'clock. It's still 1 o'clock. Okay, fine. Strange though. I mean, maybe that part doesn't work. We should also check that part that is properly, it's probably changing the game time server side. So at the moment I'm not sure. Well, the sky is pretty black though, but there are no freaking clouds. I think I disconnected too many pieces. because it's not really, you know, the clouds are gone, there's so much stuff gone, and it's very bright anyway. It seems that it's like middle of the day. It's very bright at the moment. This is probably because the cloud colors, the fog color, I mean all of that anyway needs to have a setting. I mean if it doesn't have a setting, because I disconnected what I did, I disconnected this thing, right? I could connect it to clear. Let's do this. Let's connect it to clear. Okay, so let's do clear sky. So at least it sets all the basic parameters. Then after it did this, no, random weather, I don't want it. I don't want any random weather. Okay. This recapture sky, what is it? Recapture the skin from the skylight is used making the suit the skylight is up to date to change something in the water. Okay, so this was not connected originally. Okay, let's do clear sky, okay? Clear sky. So this sets the weather with all these parameters. So it sets fog density. Unfortunately, also set the time. That's very annoying. It also sets the time. We actually want the time to come, let's say, later, and because this function is setting the weather and the time. Well, it's actually just filling the array, so it's not actually doing the change, it's just filling the array, so I think it's okay. I think we can then, yeah, I think it's fine, because it's filling the array, but then originally this apply weather settings, you see, is called every minute. Now, I don't think we want this anymore. I think we want to call the apply weather settings only when the server is telling us to do it, right? And in particular is when we receive that set time here, and so we call apply weather settings. Right? Yeah, I think that's the way we want to do it. Yeah, okay. Let's try like this. I also changed my character position to a better position. So, and I updated, yeah, updated the database. Should be fine. Hello, I see someone joined. Welcome. Okay, so let's connect and see. First of all, if I receive, it's still 1 o'clock, huh? We also have to check that. It's very dark. It's 1 o'clock. It's very dark. Okay. Well, let's try to set 12 in the database. Let's close everything. Let's set 12 and see if it works. So let's do 12:00 and save and apply. Let's see if it works. So basically the point now is that we want to apply the weather settings only when the server is telling us to do it. client has no... Wow, it's day. Look at this. It's working. It seems it's working. So how do we test it in a smarter way so that he... I mean, I don't want to wait 10 minutes, you know. We can just do... We can just shorten the time server side. Do it every minute instead of every 10 minutes and then see. Okay, so let's see. How do I do this? I want to... But it seems working anyway, huh? It seems working. If I want to shorten the time of the hour, so 1 hour is lasting 1 minute. How do I do this? So queue next event. Queue next event is doing this. Okay, but then no, I want to... That is the place where the event is executing itself, right? Which is here, I think. Is here, yes. Queue next event. Schedule event, okay. Game minute. Game minute in seconds, yeah. That's it. So every 60. So I could do it instead of 10 seconds, I could do it every 1 second. So every second is 1 other minute. Yeah, I can just change this, I guess. If I change this to 1, or no, let me leave this at 10 and let me just put 1 here just for a second. Then we should remember to change it back though, eh? Otherwise we have a problem. Otherwise we have a problem, but let's assume that we do this. And let me... I don't know why it's always asking me to save stuff that it didn't change. I didn't change the current character, I didn't change the tab settings or whatever. Okay, we recompile this. So now basically every minute we should get a new message on the client. Let me start the server again. And we have to recompile, yes, because we did that change. The small change, but it requires a new DLL. So now what we are expecting is that every minute we receive a message on the client that the time is changed, and we expect the sky to go brighter or darker. Actually, we go darker because it starts from 12. Also, I want to see if we save the new time to the database, because that's another important check, right? Because every hour we are saving the time. Now in our case at the moment we said that 1 hour is 1 minute, so it would be pretty quick. Okay, so now we are at 12, right? So I'm checking the log of my client. I'm waiting 1 minute to see if after 1 minute I receive a new time. Right, so we have to wait 1 minute. And I will receive one new line here, and also I will see hopefully on the database that instead of 12 will be 13, right? Because I think it's in 24 hours, yes. So we have to wait 1 minute. 1 minute. And at the moment the server is doing a lot of stuff because every second is executing a new event, assuming that the time has progressed for 1 minute. So. Now we will not see a lot of difference between 12 and 1 in terms of colors, in terms of light, but I'm expecting it to get. I'm expecting to get it now, in theory, because 1 minute passed. No, I'm not getting it. Strange. You didn't get any new message. I didn't get any new message on the server side, on the client side. I didn't get anything. But in theory, our code is doing QNext event 1, and then is increasing the game time minutes, and if it's greater than 60, is saving the game time, is broadcasting the game time. So for some reason, it is not happening. Let me see on the database. It's still 12. Still 12 in the database. So it works the first time, but then seems it doesn't increment, for some reason it doesn't increment the. So we should check why. Seems the QNext event, seems that this thing is not working. Delay text, set parameter delay text. Did I set this? Yes, I did. Okay, but anyway, let's say that we managed to have the time properly working. So in the sense that if the server says that it's 12 o'clock, we see 12 o'clock. If we say that it's nighttime, we see nighttime on the client. So it is already pretty good achievement. Now, for some reason, the server is not sending us the updates, right? And I don't know why. So I will check it offline and I will fix it. But you should assume that the next time that we meet, which is tomorrow, I think this evening, I will probably fix it. So we will see each other tomorrow evening after dinner. So European time will be roughly at 9 or 9:30 in the evening. Okay. Nice. With that said, I think it's all for today, and thanks for watching. It's been nice. We made some progress, some significant progress for the game time. I will leave you with some music and see you tomorrow.